On this episode, we're talking about gravel riding, what it is, what you need to know, and where you can ride. And we have a question about tools to carry on the bike. So there's a lot actually there in those two topics.
There's a lot there.
Let's go.
This is Kristin.
And I'm Steve, and you're listening to Cycling Together, a podcast about bikes, riding, and riding together.
So we had fun yesterday.
We did on one of my now Saturdays off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should talk about that for a second. How do you feel about the fact that you are a bike shop that is closed
On the weekends?
on Saturdays and Sundays? Yeah, the whole weekend. What kind of feedback have you gotten on that?
Not a lot. I've had a few people show up at the door on Saturday going, "Oh, I didn't realize you were closed on Saturdays now."
Whoops.
Right? In this summer times, actually, for my type of shop, Saturdays can be fairly quiet midsummer.
Yeah.
Because everybody's doing something. They're going out.
The last place they want to be is at your bike shop.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So
bike.
what you get is the emergency stuff.
Right.
But you don't, but otherwise I don't get things otherwise, right? Everybody is off. They're off riding. They're off on vacation. They're off on a weekend adventure. They're doing stuff with friends and family. They're just not thinking about coming into the shop.
When we talked about it, a lot of it was motivated by the van, because you were saying we weren't doing much van camping. And I was like, well, the problem is I'm Monday to Friday.
Right.
You're Tuesday to Saturday. So
And
one of those things has got to give. And I work in banking, so that's not going to happen.
Right. And then the kids. This is the last summer with both kids home.
Yeah. Not that they're home either.
Not at the moment, right? But yes.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think it's the feedback I've seen. I mean, granted, I just talked to customers who are also friends, have been, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Time is short. You should, and the other thing is we went to like the Bikes Fight Cancer ride, and I think you got better exposure for the bike shop being out riding, talking to people.
Right.
Than if you were just sitting in your shop on a Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I know you keep saying it's for the summer.
We shall see. We shall see.
It's at least through the fall, because there's already...
Absolutely. It's at least through the fall.
There's already, between PMC Unpaved, NEYC is having a coaches weekend at Highland Mountain Bike Park. Like, there are already a couple of things that you're going to be... Yeah. You're still going to be closed, because it would be a lot of like, we're closed this Saturday. Oh, and we're closed next Saturday. Oh, and we're closed next Saturday.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of like special announcements.
And
so
it was
from
getting,
that standpoint,
it was getting to like that in some cases where it was just too many great events to miss.
Yeah.
So I would, I'd be like, oh, well, I'll be here next Saturday, but not the one after that. Right. And then, and then the three after that.
They talk about this, like when you do the thing, when you turn the thing you love into a career, you don't get to do the thing you love. Which is
why I'm trying not to do that, to be like that and do the thing I love.
It only took us this many years. So so what did we do yesterday?
We went on a family gravel adventure ride.
Partial family. Let's say partial.
Partial family.
Anders didn't come with us. No. He is real. No. We did, there is here in Massachusetts, they are developing the Mass Central Rail Trail, which ultimately will be 104 miles.
Something like that,
of connected rail trail awesomeness from...
We had actually ridden a part of this, and I don't know if it was at that time sort of in the concept of the Mass Central Rail Trail, but we had ridden this over 10 years ago. And when I had brought you out there 10 years ago, it was 11 years ago, that was in part because I had a lot of projects in my geology days in the Rutland and Hubbardston and Barrie and Ware area. And I remember always thinking, and that was before gravel riding.
That was before gravel bike. Yep.
Right. And I always thought, it'd be really cool to ride bikes out here, but where do you go for the mountain bikes? Because that's what was in my head.
Yep.
But look at all of these great like gravel roads and so forth. And
And so when we went out there, 10 years ago, because actually it was Strava that told me, hey, you've been here before.
Yes.
It was on our cyclocross bikes, which I do think was kind of where the the switch was starting. We're like,
Yeah, well, absolutely
we have
was.
these bikes and we could put them elsewhere. And what I really like about yesterday, in addition to just being out there with our daughter, is just the cool stuff we saw that you wouldn't normally see. Like in particular, we passed a Revolutionary War prison and sanatorium. Like, it was like a field. It was like out there was the sanatorium.
Yeah.
But just the fact that there's all this history hidden in our woods.
Oh,
that you wouldn't see.
especially in New England. We have a lot of history in the woods.
Between that and we've gotten a couple of questions about gravel bikes. And also I have noticed that this seems to be the summer of the gravel bike sales for you. I feel like you've gotten more inquiries about gravel bikes. I've seen you putting together some custom builds on gravel bikes.
It's the same as typical, but yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's the same as typical, or is it not? That's just my anecdotal observation.
Right.
There's not a lot of mountain bikes going right now. There's no road bikes going right now, but I do feel like you're still seeing some energy and questions around gravel bikes.
Right.
So we thought, let's talk about that. We're saying gravel. What's a gravel ride? Like when somebody says they want to ride gravel.
Well, you had put it into 3 categories. And
I have 3 categories.
And I actually really like these 3 categories.
Okay.
Right? So when you see, it's going to be called a gravel bike no matter what of these 3 types you're doing.
Yes.
Right? But pure gravel is the kind of thing like Unbound in Kansas.
Yep.
A lot, like Midwest has just tens of thousands of miles of just dirt roads.
Yes.
And that is pure gravel.
Why
We also have a bunch in Vermont and New Hampshire, but to just stay on those sort of nice dirt roads, that's hard to do for the whole time. We'll get to the next section.
Yeah, down in the Plymouth area too, south of Boston, have beautiful. Why do we call it gravel and not dirt road riding?
Oh, yeah. You mean
I don't actually know the answer to that.
Then it would be a
like,
dirt bike, and that is a
that's a different
thing that already exists.
Okay, we already have enough naming. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's so in my head, category 1, purest gravel is
it's
dirt
just
roads.
dirt roads.
Okay, and then second category,
adventure ride,
which
right?
is what we yesterday.
Or you could say adventure roads, and that's where you throw in the Jeep roads.
Yep.
Right? The very chunky stuff.
It's because around here we don't have, as you said, miles and miles and miles of dirt roads. So you end up stringing together.
Well, that's the third category.
Well, no, but even yesterday we were on roads. We were on paved roads, a couple of highways, very briefly, dirt roads, Jeep roads.
Yep.
Some even a Jeep would be like, not happy about this.
And
but
then
get over.
You might even consider cart paths.
Yeah, cart paths, but it's like a strung together thing. But it's still, we'll say,
and completely unimproved rail trails where they just pulled the rails up and that was it.
Yeah, but I would still say not a car maybe, but a Jeep could get through. Somebody could drive all of it. Some of it, people were driving past us on on the Jeep roads. Okay, so that's adventure ride.
Yep.
And then there is mixed terrain.
Mixed terrain. Yeah, that's what we have right here locally out of our house.
Yes.
And that is where you are stringing together every bit of dirt you can to come up with a nice gravel ride loop. We're going to put that in quotes. And the mixed terrain ride will throw mountain bike single track.
Yep.
It could be power lines. It could be the dirt roads. Basically, any surface possible is in there.
Yes.
And that's because that's what you have to use to get yourself around.
Right.
And, so Vermont rides, all of the Vermont, the big rides, they're definitely in the adventure ride categories, but they're going to throw a little mixed terrain sometimes.
I think just to mess with you, they'll be like, and then we're going to put this single track right at the end. You're like, why? I was totally fine.
Right.
I did not need this little bit of anxiety at the end of this ride. I have said it on past shows. I'm sure I will say it again. Once you hit, the reason I came up with these categories in my head was so that I knew, or more importantly, you knew what bike to pack for me. So if it's a gravel ride, gravel bike, adventure ride, gravel bike, mixed terrain,
Mountain bike.
Mountain bike.
Yes.
For
you
me.
have definitely learned that you are way happier on the mountain bike on mixed terrain.
I mean, granted, I'm not doing 50, 100-mile mixed terrain rides. These tend to be in the 10, 15-mile ones we do in the morning with your friends.
Yeah, mixed terrain tends to be shorter, and they can be really slow on a gravel bike. So some of my 30-mile loops around here, I warn people, like, on a gravel bike, it's slow. Trails are technical.
A woman, we'll say a friend, was like a friend of a friend, and they pulled one of your routes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other friends thought it was a Steve the Bike Guy ride. And it wasn't. It was just their friend picked a Steve the Bike Guy route.
Yes.
And they were like, it took us forever. Yeah. And it's like, we do use that term mixed terrain for any route that I post that's from the shop, because ain't no gravel happening.
Yeah.
Not even an adventure ride. It's
mixed terrain.
Always mixed terrain out of the shop. All right. So this leads to the next question, which is, we just talked about gravel bike. What the heck?
Maybe why a gravel bike, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think, what is a gravel bike? Well, that's it. And how does it differ, say, from the bike it looks most like, which is a road bike? Because it looks most like a road bike.
It does. And it is a road bike.
Okay.
It is a road bike with a different set of geometry so they can fit bigger tires.
Okay.
And the gearing is typically much easier than a road bike would be.
Yep.
But not necessarily. And that's really the difference. You know, and the thing about, so when you were mountain biking, you were typically going somewhere into a set of trails, and you're doing these trails in a fairly tighter, confined area.
Yes.
And usually it's a trail network somewhere. And the great thing about a gravel bike is that you're usually going longer distances. Mm-hmm. You're putting together areas that I don't want to call boring, but you wouldn't go to on a mountain bike. It's not a mountain biking area.
Yeah.
Right? You could certainly ride your mountain bike through, but gravel bikes, you're riding through areas to get to the next area that you're riding through, and then just so different scenery after different scenery after different woods after different fields and so forth. And it just is spectacular that way.
I think what can get confusing, even for me, is that in mountain bikes, you have a hardtail and you have dual suspension. Mm-hmm. Got it, right? Road bike. Gravel bikes come in so many different configurations, or can come in so many configurations, and it's kind of a Swiss Army knife of a bike, but you kind of have to decide
how many tools you want on that Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, and where to air, where to air. So let's talk about Sophie's bike versus our ride yesterday. So Sophie and I are riding the same frame.
Yep.
But her bike, which I had been riding for a while, is really more set up for road. Like, I had used it more for long road thing. And so like her tires, let's talk about the tires, right? Because when we were on one of the Jeep roads, I looked back and she was missing in action. And I was like, crap, what is going on, right? So when she finally came up, she was like, I was slipping around like crazy.
Yeah.
And so what was on her bike, and we'll have pictures I can put in the show notes as well as the video, but what tires are on my bike versus what tires on her bike?
So this ride decision came together fairly late.
Yes.
And so I decided not to swap tires.
Yeah.
Just she'll be fine. She was, except for that one her Jeep Road. And so she has 40 millimeter Maxxis, I believe they are called Velocitas.
Okay.
They are essentially a full-on filed tread road tire.
Is that what I rode for Bikes by Cancer? Those were the tires I rode?
Did, yes.
Okay, those were the tires I rode for that, which was mostly concrete.
Yeah, but you had also ridden these tires on a fairly chunky, unimproved rail trail once before.
Okay.
So they were tested.
Yep.
But yeah, those are, so for a 40 millimeter, basically almost slick tire, if you want to call it, those work great for road rides on gravel bikes.
Yes.
Right? And that's what she was on.
Okay. And I have.
Right? And you have Panaracer X1's 45 millimeter.
Okay. Which also had a pretty a more aggressive.
Those have they have a very tight knob in the center, so they roll it fast on the hard pack and the pavement. Mm-hmm. And then the knobs tend to spread out towards the sides, but they're knobby. They are a knobby tire.
And then you had something even different, like from the two of us. You had something that seemed to have a little more aggressive edge.
Yep, I had the Continental Terra hard packs, which I think I'm gonna do a video review on.
Okay.
Very highly underrated tire, I guess, known tire.
Right. So I had a lot of control on the Jeep roads, but one thing I noticed, now I will say that I understand that you are stronger than me and she is young and stronger than me. So, but we would hit the pavement and you guys were gone. You were gone. And so then I started to wonder, I wonder if maybe you did say mine were supposed to roll pretty quickly on the pavement, but I was just kind of in my wonderings. I guess the question I'm going to ask is, with this Swiss Army knife, where do you err on the side of tires?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
One misconception I think there is in the gravel bikes is that a smooth center section is going to be bad off-road.
Okay.
And that is incorrect, I would say.
Okay.
You can definitely go with a very low height, small knob, or even a file tread in the center of your tire and do some fairly aggressive stuff on that.
Yeah.
Then the more off-road you are, the more you're going to want a bigger tire, a wider tire, and more side knobs for that off-road cornering traction. Right. So Sophie was getting herself, she was slipping and sliding a little bit in all of those very, very chunky ruts.
Yes.
That we were climbing up.
Yep.
And so a little bit more width would have helped, and the side knobs would have helped.
Yeah. And we also talked about having, for her, 2 sets of wheels, that she can swap, not tires, but 2 sets of wheels, one with more of the aggressive, I know I'm going to be in mixed terrain. Yep. And then more of a road.
Yeah. And I have a lot of customers who do that.
Yeah.
A little side note there. So if you're going to have a second set of wheels for your gravel bike, say one with a really big tire for off-road and one with a skinnier tire for road.
Yeah.
Then that's a great way to go. But I have a lot of customers who don't realize that you need to have the full setup if you want to just swap in easy or out. So I'm like, okay, so you'll need a set of wheels and those road tires. Yep. And then you'll also need brake rotors and the cassette. And cassettes can be very, very pricey. Yeah. I'm like, really? Oh. And I get that a lot.
No, that's a really good point.
I get that a lot. They don't realize they also need brake rotors and a cassette.
Because they don't want to be... Yes.
Right. And sometimes, can I swap those over? I was like, if you're going to do that, then just swap tires over back and forth between the same set of wheels. Don't. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And I want to go back to gearing because I ride my gravel bike. You sold my road bike back during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was always like, I know where to find you if I need something new. And I haven't not wanted to replace her. And I used her last weekend for a fully road ride with my team, with my RPMC team. And one guy I was riding with was like, I like how fast you can spin going up the hill. And that's because, of course, I was the only one on the ride who had a 1x and a really big cassette in the back. And everybody else had a more traditional road setup.
Yeah, you have an Eagle cassette in the back with a 1052.
Yeah. So... So let's talk a little bit about, again, that's what I think is so interesting with gravel bikes, because I've seen you send out gravel bikes with 2x. I've seen you send out gravel bikes with 1x. I've seen you with the Eagle. How do you decide what is the right gearing for someone's quote unquote gravel bike?
When it comes to gravel bikes, I don't think this does apply to where you live.
Yes.
Certainly here in New England. You cannot get easy enough. So the easiest gear you can possibly get in a normal setup is what you should go with. And even the strongest guys I know do not regret having an easy gear, like say mixing and matching with a mountain bike rear end with the Eagle cassette. They do not regret that whatsoever.
I mean, for me, it comes
we
down...
have 20% grades here.
Yeah, and for me, even on less than that, like it comes down to not burning out my muscles. Like when we were on at the Bikes Fight Cancer ride, we had people, and I'll admit it, either they were passing me or I was passing, and they were grinding, like just the power they were putting behind each, and they were strong, and they were, where I was just spinning, maybe not even as fast as them, but I didn't feel like I was burning out all my watts in that process.
I saw those people I know who you're talking about. They were on older bikes.
Yeah.
And they probably had, I don't remember if any of them had a triple. And if they did have a triple, the older triples only had a 25 tooth cog in the back.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check the gear ratio, but at 26, 25 is probably what they had, which is just actually, that's not even 1-to-1. Right. So that would have been a normal triple back in the day. And then the doubles, they were not anything over a 28 tooth in the back. And then maybe like a 30, a 34 if they were lucky. But I think they were older bikes, so probably a 39.
I remember back in the day when I first started riding, I was reading all your magazines, and it was during the Lance Armstrong, Jan Ulrich stage, age of Tour de France. And there was an article about how Lance was a spinner and Jan was a cranker.
Yeah, he was a grinder.
He was a grinder. This same idea.
He was a diesel engine.
And then I started riding with my very good friend Nancy, who is an amazing rider, but she's also very smart about it. And she would say the same thing to me. She was like, "You're burning all your watts. Get into your easiest gear. Spin, 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 to try to conserve, like rather than really just burning all the matches."
Yeah, this is where gearing is so important, and this is why shifting is so important.
Yes.
Because there is that cadence that is going to be right for your body. Because the more you spin, the more your heart rate's going to elevate, right? And the harder you push, the more you're going to fatigue your legs and your muscles.
Yeah.
And so you're finding that balance between spinning and pushing.
Yes.
And that's literally like what you're looking for, is that optimal cadence for you. And that's why really the more you shift into that optimal cadence, the better you'll be. So the smoother your shifting is, the better it works. The more you will shift, even if subconsciously you don't realize it.
Oh, I'm shifting. If your
shifting is easier, you will shift more, right?
I paid for every single one of those.
You'll have a better day, and you'll be able to go further with less fatigue.
Yeah, and this applies to all climbing, but I feel like I think about it more on the gravel bike. And maybe it's because it's just the hills are that much steeper when you go to Vermont than if I go road riding around here or even mountain biking. I think about that. Yeah, there is a lot more.
There is an efficiency to a road bike on pavement.
Yeah.
Even with the skinnier tires, putting aside the fact that wide tires can be very efficient, that you don't need as easy of a gear on the road bike going up the same grade as you do on a gravel bike going up a very rocky, rooty grade. It is same grade.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about with gravel bikes, and we'll keep using Sophie as an example, is at one point she was like, "Mom, my thumbs really hurt. My thumbs really hurt." And and we realized it's because you and I have a suspension stem and she does not.
Yep.
Right. And again, she's like, she was also gripping really hard. And
she is not used to those type of rough rides as well. So she was probably gripping too. Yeah. She was probably death gripping. Right. Right. In some of the really rough areas. Right. Yep. And so, and I have to look at the optimization of her hood angle and so forth. Right.
But we also talked about, when we're talking about the difference between, say, a road bike and a gravel bike, there's some suspension options that you wouldn't put on a road bike.
You can get suspension forks, gravel bike suspension forks. Yep. They are short travel. They're made for gravel bikes. There are only a handful on the market. But I will say that they seem to not be popular. And they're not getting popular. Really? It seems like the consensus among the gravel world is, you're taking the gravel bike from what it was, and it's just starting to make it too mountain bikey, and because they're heavy in many cases.
Yep.
And they really and it's noticeable. Like they change the feel, the weight balance of a gravel bike. And they change the steering feel. A lot of gravel bikes are not suspension corrected, which means when you say suspension corrected, it means that the geometry of the bike is designed such that it's for a taller fork in the front. So even though if it came with a rigid carbon fork, that rigid carbon fork is taller than normal, so that you can just plop in a suspension fork and it doesn't change the geometry.
Okay.
Otherwise, on a lot of gravel bikes, if you put in a suspension fork, in most cases, it is actually slackening the seat tube angle and the head tube angle because it's lifting up the front end.
Yeah.
But in most cases, it's acceptable. It's fine. In some cases, though, it really changes the handling to not good.
Because I've tried. I mean, I feel like I've tried them all. Right. I started with a Lauf fork.
Yep.
That we got through a barter.
That's right. Yep.
And that's a leaf spring.
That is, yes.
Right.
Yep.
And
that is the lightest weight gravel suspension fork.
I don't think I could get it to engage.
Well, that one I think was just the wrong. They make 2 spring rates. That one was just the wrong spring rate for you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and they also, for a lot of people, you don't think it's doing anything when it is.
It is. Okay. Then we tried. Diana has
the
Rock
Shocks.
has the Rock Shocks.
Yep, the Rock Shocks Ruby. Yep.
And again, I don't. Which one did our friend borrow?
You were fine with that.
I was fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm not that. I'm going to say I'm not that sensitive or rider. Where I'm like, oh, this has really changed my. I'll be the first to admit it. Like,
right.
Good, but good. But our friend tried it. Didn't Jeff try it?
No, he tried the Lauf.
Oh, he tried the Lauf.
Yeah.
And then, but now I have the
suspension stem. Yeah, you have the King Creek
and
Silk.
I mean, why are we adding suspension to these bikes? Even a little bit. Little bit. What's the goal?
Yeah, the goal is because of all of the roughness of the road, right? And all of that shaking and jitteriness of the handlebars.
Yep.
And you're trying to basically relieve all of that that motion in your hands.
Okay.
So on a gravel bike, it tends to be more very rough, stuttery stuff. And the suspension forks that are built like mountain bike forks, like the Rock Shocks, like the Fox, like the King Creek, and so forth, their ability to handle that very light, quick stutter stuff, is not as great as it is to handle the hits.
Okay.
And the Lauf actually, if depending on your weight and their spring rate, can be very good on the stutter bumps. But that's, I think, in part why also that suspension hasn't taken off, and that bigger tires have taken off, because the roll of tires is the greatest thing in the comfort of a gravel bike. Full stop.
Okay.
Because the larger the tire you have, the lower the pressure you can run, and so right there, that is your suspension. Is the cushion, the tires.
Does it help with control at all too? Like
for what?
Like if
the suspension?
Yeah, like can it help with you having a little bit more control?
Well, control is all about keeping the tires in contact with the ground.
Okay.
So suspension, that is what suspension's role is, to keep in many cases, like to keep the tires in contact with the ground.
Yeah.
Right. And so yes, in theory, it can help you come into control. Now, the suspension stems are not doing that. They are they are a buffer between the vibration and your body.
Okay.
But they're not keeping the tire more in contact with the ground. Lower pressure is what keeps the tire in contact with the ground.
And what about, I know we have at least one suspension seat post I've seen kick in the shop on someone's gravel bike. What is that for?
I have not put one of those on my own bike, but they are very cool. And I was actually almost thinking about getting you one to try. Now I have, on my bike, I have the Ergon post, which is this split carbon system.
Oh.
It technically has a little bit of movement that other carbon posts don't.
Okay.
So I suppose it's suspension light.
Suspension adjacent.
Yeah, suspension adjacent, right?
Okay.
I mean, it definitely flexes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So those are kind of like when you look at a road bike versus a gravel bike, those are kind of the big categories, what makes them different. Here's a question from Chris.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of what got us inspired. I've had several conversations lately where people who are mountain bikes, roadies, casual cyclists looking for a solid first gravel bike, if not solid, well made at a reasonable price. Which, by the way, I love. We just had someone in the shop recently who has been mountain biking for a couple of years, and now she's texted and said,
yes.
I need to know about gravel bikes.
Right.
I was like, welcome to the insanity. What are some good options these days? I think that's the big question is how much does it take to get into gravel biking? How to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how much should you be spending? What are how do you get started? Because again, there's so many options.
There are. So there are
you have
some.
5 minutes.
I have 5 minutes. Okay, I know, right? Only 5? Can I have 50?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, even
there are certain considerations to look at in a bike, and these are not deal breakers, but here are the things you really should be looking for.
Okay.
All right. Number 1 is that it should have a UDH, which is a universal derailleur hanger.
Okay.
I won't go into the background of that. What the UDH does is it does allow the bike to use SRAM direct mount derailleurs, but that is not the reason you should get it, because I don't care what necessarily derailleur you have on there.
Okay.
It is that a UDH has taken the fact that there were 300 plus different derailleur hangers on a bike, which, especially on a gravel bike, can get bent and damaged or break and so forth.
Yes.
And they can be realigned and bent back straight by a shop with the right tool, but only 1 or 2 times maybe at the most before it can snap.
Listen to our show about bike materials.
Yeah, the thing about a UDH is that every shop in the country will definitely have one of these on hand.
Okay.
Okay. So should you break one. And unlike, especially with through axle derailleur hangers gotten to be these $40, $45 things.
Yeah.
And a UDH is generally under 20.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why you should look for UDH if you can get it.
Okay.
Tire clearance. So over the past few years, tire clearance has gone up and up and up and up. And you want to look for something with at least 50 millimeter tire clearance. Okay, that would be a normal road size 700C diameter.
Okay.
Okay, and a 50 millimeter width clearance. And not squeezing in 50s, but a true, like they say, oh, this can fit 50s.
Right.
You don't want to regret not being able to put big tires. And there are many gravel bikes now that use a mountain bike tire, which use an inch width instead of a millimeter.
Because why not?
Because why not? But those would be 29 inch, which is the exact same diameter as 700C on road bikes.
Yep.
And then there'll be like a 2.25 width, which is around 56, 57 millimeters.
Okay. We need a Steve the Bike Guy gravel bike basics checklist.
So those can be very cool, and the rougher the terrain you're going on, the more you're going to want to look for a bike that can do that.
Yep.
But 50, I think, is a good place to be. Okay. And I don't think down the road you're necessarily going to regret not being able to go any bigger. Mm-hmm. You might a small amount, but not a big thing.
Okay.
If your bike can only fit 45s, depending on where you live, you might then start to regret that down the road.
Chris commented in this conversation we were having on Slack that his current bike has 700 by 40s, which used to feel like monster truck tires, and now they're basically TT tires.
Yeah, it's
like
so
he
true.
was like,
it's
these
so
used to feel huge. So like the whole idea, I think in part is how do you, in his words, future-proof as much as possible.
And that's why trying to get the biggest tire clearance you can is future proofing.
Okay.
They were just measuring actual tire width of the Tour de France bikes.
Yeah.
There were some for regular road stages that were measuring out at 33 millimeters on professional Tour de France riders' bikes.
And how much did we ride? Like,
so 23 was, and skinnier was
the norm.
The norm back in the day.
That's what we grew up on.
And then the next thing really comes down to the 1x drivetrain or the 2x drivetrain.
Okay.
And what the easiest gear is. I tend to say, so for somebody who does not live in a hilly area.
Okay.
All right. You can go 2x.
Yep.
More often. And somebody who lives in a hilly area but is going to say, I'm going to ride this mostly on road, right, and do a little bit of off-roading. Then I start to talk 2x with that person.
Okay.
Just because the spacing between each gear change is a little less, and you can then find that optimum cadence a little better.
Yes.
On longer grades. But off-road in hilly areas, you tend to be shifting all the time. You are not on a grade that stays the same pitch for very long. You are constantly up and down and up and down and up and down.
Yeah. And
so that's why 1x has definitely is ruling the gravel bike world. And because you're often getting 10 gears in the back, or not 10. I'm sorry. You're often getting 12 gears in the back. And the new SRAM stuff has 13. It's electronic only, but
yeah.
And even Shimano, who was just so much 2x now has really great, well-priced 1x options.
Yep.
So if you're looking for that solid, reasonably priced gravel bike, you're going to be looking at aluminum, and aluminum frames can be great.
Yep.
And so really, now, I don't know of any aluminum frames out there right now that have that big 2.2 mountain bike size clearance. I should look into that.
Yeah.
But you can definitely get 50 millimeter clearance. But not on all of them. So it's a really important thing to look for. And then really it's going to come down to that drivetrain.
What's a reasonable price point or a good starting price point?
That's a great question, because this is where there is this small price difference, big divide in performance.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be looking at around anywhere between $1,600 to $2,000 for a pretty good, decent gravel bike.
Okay.
What happens when you drop a little below that is you end up getting mechanical disc brakes. And, can I go into a little side thing here?
Of course. Can you take a side quest? Yes.
Can I take a side quest?
You may take a side quest.
I had a guy come in for a sort of a pre-big event ride checkup for his bike.
Okay.
And I don't think this bike was any more than a year old. It was an endurance road bike, and it was an entry level. It had Shimano Claris on it, 2-speed, which is 2 in the front, 8 in the back for Claris.
Okay.
Claris, okay. Now, Claris doesn't make hydraulic disc brakes, and hydraulic disc brakes add a lot to the cost. So this had Tektro mechanical disc brakes.
And when you say mechanical disc brakes, you mean there's a cable.
There's a cable. Just like a cable was pulling a caliper brake, a rim brake, it is pulling the sort of lever on the disc caliper, which then pulls in the pistons and to push against the rotor.
Okay. Versus which uses hydraulic fluid. Okay.
Yeah. And the bike was pretty good. A few little adjustments, and then I took it outside for the test ride, and I was like, "This is unacceptable." Like the braking was dangerous, and this is not the first time I've seen this. And what
does that mean, dangerous? Like didn't?
Oh, like yeah,
What makes it what?
You are not making an emergency stop. You are also have to have a fistful, all fingers on the brakes, pulling as hard as you can. Say if you had a stop sign at the bottom of a hill.
Okay,
it was that bad, and I've seen this many, many times. And it's mechanical disc brakes can be okay. The only caliper and a lot of it's the pad material, and I actually changed the pads in the front, which does the most of the braking power.
Yes.
And I rebedded that in, and I got him a little better. But I was like, this is clearly a part issue.
Okay.
Right. And I know I knew it though. So this is why though you should get hydraulic disc brakes.
So for that next price up.
Yeah, it could be like you $1,400 you get mechanical, $1,600 you get hydraulic.
Worth it.
Worth it.
Okay.
Completely worth it. But then you do need to know that I've even seen some of those entry-level hydraulic disc brake ones. The braking's fine. But that is where a pad change can make that great, the braking great. So,
are there not rules on how fast a bike should brake or how a brake should work? Like, how can you put out brakes that don't brake?
There's this.
Is that a whole nother side quest?
Yeah, it's a whole. But
All
there
right.
is. There's this ISO standard about testing your bike and so forth. But the reality is that a lot of companies can put out. I like to say they can put out parts that look like bike parts. They don't have to work like bike parts.
I know, like, okay, bike part shaped objects
Yeah,
is not
yes.
really what I'm looking. That's
No.
terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, it was so bad. I'm almost considering writing to this major brand and saying this is dangerous. This is like a failure by your product manager to understand what he's speccing.
Do you tell a customer? So like,
I
what do you
did.
say
I
to
did.
this guy
Yeah.
other than, do you say to him, like, just be careful, be aware, braking's a little harder for you? Do you like how harsh do you get when you're explaining this to a customer about the bike they own, which is really hard?
Unfortunately, I feel sometimes the worse something is that's not the customer's fault and it's completely the manufacturer's fault. I can sometimes get a little harsh in my warnings, but try to be like, be careful. I've done what I could.
Yes.
This is what it is,
Right.
I don't want to say,
I mean, this is their
tough.
bike. Yeah. No, I get it. It's really...
Here's the other thing is that this bike did it. A lot of companies are putting all of their cables down under the stem, down through the headset bearings, into the frame that way.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to sell any bikes that do that. Hydraulic hoses are okay.
Okay.
You generally never touch a hydraulic hose once it's in a bike.
Once it's in there. Okay.
But in this case, it's not hydraulic hoses. It's two cable actuated brake line housings plus the cables, and two. Was he 1x? No, he was 2x. So and two shift cable housings and cables, and they were jammed down into this thing. And the first thing that started me down this road was, wow, this like the hand pressure to pull back that front brake was not great.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, I can make this better. Like I just can lube this cable, or I'll put in a fresh cable into this, and I can make this a lot better. Before I knew that the braking power wasn't there. Only to discover that I could not run a new cable.
Did I walk in on this bike?
Yes.
I did. Okay.
Because they had basically pinched the housing as it was going down into the headset.
Right.
So I had to pull the stem up, pull the headset top cap up, loosen that up a little bit, push my cable through, put everything back down together. I should not have to do that. No mechanic should have to do that, and no customer should have to bear that just to change a front brake cable.
So you don't even have to write to this company. I'll just clip this whole conversation and you can send it to them, because you're right. I mean, I see the frustration when I walk into the shop for our lunchtime walk and you are like, well, I've opened a can of worms. Right, like I couldn't do this, and now it's just, and it literally
I could have left it as is, but I was like, I can make this 10% better, and I open a can of worms.
And it literally looks like that. This is just like all these are like on the top. Next on the gravel, let's talk about non-bike gravel gear. This was actually a question also from our Slack.
Yeah.
Because I do think there's a temptation that you need quote unquote special gear, or you might notice special gear. I think the biggest thing for me when I see a gravel bike is they almost always have some kind of top tube bag or handlebar bag.
Well, all right. So top tube bags, a lot of gravel bikes will have these 2 mounting points that look like 2 bottle cage braisons, basically, we'll call them. And so there are some top tube bags that will mount by those 2 bolts. And then that's all you need. Yeah. But at the same time, those exact same top tube bags come with the straps if you don't have the bolts.
Yes.
So you really don't need those 2 bolts. It's a nice clean look. The straps, because of all the dirt and the grit and everything, will tend to completely wear away and dull your paint where the straps go around the frame.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I have tried both. I prefer the top tube to the handlebar in part from just neatness. I think it's really hard to strap a bag to the front with any cables that you have and not end up just looking like a mess. And you can also get into that top tube bag really easily. But I will say, they're not expensive, but I bought a really cheap one once and I realized why it was so cheap. I couldn't zip it back up.
Yeah, I gave you a little grief. I'm like, where did you get this? Like, what did you?
But like, I couldn't zip it back up
while riding
with one hand.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my only tip on those.
Yeah, test
bags.
it. You can actually like kind of hold it from the base, and then like it was secured on your bike, and then pull with one hand, pull and close the zipper, and you'll be able to see how that works.
Exactly.
But why is it that gravel riders tend to use more bags, where road riders tend to use no bags at all, or maybe a saddlebag? More snacks.
That's my theory. And it's easier to get into the bag in front to grab my snack when I'm also on something rough versus when I'm on smooth pavement and I can just grab it out of my back pocket. Okay. I think it's easier to like, take a bite, throw it back into my bag. My bag is gross. It needs to be washed because there's like crumbs and stuff inside. Helmet's just a road helmet, although we've started calling them gravel helmets.
Yeah, but I say for gravel, you know what?
Ride anything.
Yeah, ride anything.
Yeah.
You want to have one with a visor, go for it.
Yeah. Here's the thing I do want to talk about. I've noticed new gravel kits coming, and the one that I do not understand is the Lycra shorts with pockets.
Yeah.
I think it was unpaved last year, and somebody had shoved so much crap into the pockets of these Lycra shorts that I was like, you should have just worn cargo shorts.
Right.
Like, I think there's just this whole it's gravel, we need special clothing, and I
had one pair of shorts once that had this tiny little pocket. I didn't even know it was there for half the life of them. But it was like a single gel pocket type of situation. I would bet if we asked people who have those, they're like, oh, these are the best things ever.
Oh,
and
I think
they might be. But you're right.
They were like sagging because Lycra's not really designed to hold that kind of amount of weight.
Yeah,
like the Lycra shorts.
Wouldn't it like chafe all on your legs?
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like a great place to put stuff, though.
There's a whole like some people like to carry all their stuff on their body, like in their back pockets.
Yes.
And some people like to carry stuff on the bike. And I am on the bike person. I like to keep my pockets as light as possible. I really don't like having like all my tools in one pocket, and there'll just be people have just luggage back there. And I tend to be my other thing is just layers. Like I definitely wear more layers when I'm gravel biking, just because you can start off cool, then you're into the Jeep trails and sweating away, and then so that's where the vests are great and the arm warmers, but like you just don't need my point is you don't necessarily need special clothing for gravel, even though they're all selling
you don't
it.
need special clothing for gravel. No. And we tend to wear full finger gloves.
I know
gravel riding, just like we wear on mountain biking. To be honest, though, I'd say that full finger gloves are more popular on gravel riding, but whatever, short fingers, half fingers are fine.
I haven't worn a short finger glove.
Some people are no gloves.
I haven't worn a short finger glove probably in 3 years.
Wow.
We started doing more gravel riding. I was wearing my long finger gloves. I just like the feeling of protection. And then if my chain does fall off, I'm immediately greasy. I don't want that. So I just, but now I'll wear the lightweight. I really like the mesh hot weather ones.
Yeah, the mesh. That's what I
from
had
Hand
on
Up.
yesterday.
Those are really nice.
Yeah, you can tend to, on some of the, especially mixed terrain, you might, if your hands are out on the hoods, you might have to go through a tight tree section. You might scrape the tree a little bit, right? And so that's, I mean, there's thorns, there's, right?
Okay, so what special skills are there? Well, I know the answer to this because I was watching Sophie yesterday too. Like, what skill set do you think serves a gravel rider best?
Typically, if you're already a mountain biker, then you're fine gravel riding.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've seen certainly many pure roadies who get freaked out as soon as they leave the pavement.
Right.
And I think it might be because there is a small level of drift on anything off-road.
Small?
Or large. Or a large amount of drifting.
I think you have. There were times yesterday I was like, go wherever you want to go, sweetie. I will just be here for the ride. And just the bike was deciding where she wanted to go.
Going uphill, sometimes the rear wheel may slide sideways a little bit. Where, in a gravel rider and a mountain bike rider won't even notice it or won't even phase them. It's just one of those things where it'll just completely, a roadie's brain will just go, oh my gosh, I'm falling.
Yes.
And same thing going downhill on very, very loose gravel. The bike is just basically, you got to let the bike in a lot of ways find its own line, and it is drifting, and it is rolling across the tops of all of these little, these rounded pebbles and everything. And that probably, the brain of somebody who's used to being planted to the ground probably freaks out.
Yeah, I do think a mountain biker transitions easier to gravel biking than a road rider, because the other thing is watching Sophie, who is more of a mountain biker.
Mm-hmm.
That's her past. Fly away from me. She had her weight back. She had her pedals level. She was standing on them. Like, she was using a lot of those basic mountain bike skills on going down the Jeep.
Yeah, that one Jeep section.
Yeah, the one Jeep section. Even I was like, you were going so fast. She was like, part of my brain said, maybe I shouldn't be going this fast.
And then the other part of her brain was like, wee!
Exactly right. I mean, I think road riders can obviously get that skill set, but
absolutely. It is learned though.
And I think it makes you a better road rider. I do think that mountain bike skills or cyclocross skills or whatever those skills make you a better road rider, right? Because you are going to hit sand. You are going to hit, you may have to jump off onto grass. I think those are all really good skills to have. Anyway, all right, the last thing I want to hit, and this in itself could be its own show, I know, but let's just talk about where we can ride a little bit. First of all, where do you find, when you were putting together, say, yesterday's route, where do you go to stitch together these?
This is a whole show.
Okay. And yet?
So for yesterday's ride, what did I do? So I create all my routes in Ride with GPS.
Okay.
And Ride with GPS does have a heat map showing where other riders have gone.
Oh, okay.
It's not great because it's fairly new.
Okay.
So in another window, I will have the Strava heat map up. So that is, and you have to have a premium account to look at that.
Yep.
And so that is a great resource to see where other riders have been. And then I am using other multiple maps with, say, so I can go to Street View. Now, the thing with gravel courses is you're trying to find more dirt roads and more trails.
Yeah.
And those don't have Street Views. So sometimes you're actually looking at the intersection where the road veers off of the paved road that does have the street view to look at things. And so basically it's like 5 different windows of different maps that you're going back and forth between to come up with the course.
Okay, but for the rest of us, is there a way, if I go to Ride with GPS in a certain area,
well, then you can just search for. You can just look for a route that somebody's already done.
Yeah, somebody will probably have saved it.
Oh, absolutely.
which I think is the coolest thing about the new technology.
Like, so after we did that ride yesterday.
Yeah.
I did two things. I cleaned it up a little bit and then posted it public.
Awesome.
And then I created a whole second one that was in my whole compact, series of rides where I like to put as many miles as I can in a small area.
Yeah.
Right? So that way you could always truncate it. And so basically created one of those.
Yeah. Now, one thing I did want to talk about really briefly, because there are times we'll be going for a ride and we will pass a sign that says like, do not enter. And I'll be like, do you date? And you'll be like, no, that's allowed because that's do not enter for vehicles. That's do not enter.
Oh, right. That's a show that I do want to do. But yes, you're absolutely right. There are different levels of do not enter signs. So, for instance, there's a section of power line here that we use a lot, and it says no trespassing. And there's a little fenced-in area with a little building that for the power equipment guys.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, but the gravel road that follows underneath the power lines is continuing on. You're like, well, that looks great. Why can't I? No trespassing. Well, that whole land is town forest property. Okay. So they're just basically leasing that land. So when that no trespassing sign is, they don't want people going into their equipment area. Right. But they have really no say on the fact that we're following on the town forest property on the gravel road.
Yeah.
Right.
And we had an interesting situation last weekend when we were in Duxbury, where our good friends live. We take the Point Road out to Gurnet Point, and that turns into Plymouth. And when you get, most of the time, you can ride all the way out to it's called Bug Light and the Plymouth Light Station, which was a old lighthouse.
Yep.
And most of the time you can do that, no problem. But in the summer, they put guards up because it's private roads, and they stopped us. They stopped us and said, no walkers and hikers can come through here, no bikes. But what was so interesting was they had a sign up that read, vehicular trespass is a violation of Chapter 266, Section 121A. Well, that law, because I looked it up, makes it a crime to enter private land without the owner's right while using or possessing a powered vehicle, e.g. an ATV, dirt bike, or car. Bike, not our bikes.
Right.
Not
in the law that they're citing.
The law, huge sign. Yeah. So we ended up going. It
gets a little more. This is going to be state by state, but there is a private road, as in the landowner owns the road.
Yes.
But then certainly here we have a lot of roads which are not accepted by the town, so the town is not going to maintain the road.
Right.
But they are also roads that were created they have no owner.
Right.
So these are private roads technically because the town doesn't own them.
Right.
But so I had looked up.
But all the people aren't.
But none of the people who own the houses and their parcels of land own it either. And so I've looked up the laws on that, and those have they have no right to restrict people from those roads.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to park on those roads. But
you can't drive out there.
Access-wise, you cannot be restricted from those.
Yeah. And what's crazy about this one in particular is they're trying to preserve this historic light at the end of this beautiful place.
Yes.
And they're even trying to solicit
which is owned by the federal government.
Which is right. And they're
the Coast Guard.
No, I think that's the point, is it has reverted. It's being preserved by an organization. They want to preserve Bug Light. They want to preserve the Plymouth Lighthouse, and they're looking for donations, but you can't get out there. Like, once you were out there, we were reading all the historic signs. I was like, this is a little mini museum out here that apparently nobody can get to. So it is important to know the rules. We don't want anybody getting in trouble, but also recognize there's a lot of places you can go that maybe you didn't realize you could. Right?
Right.
Breaking the law. No, just kidding. All right. Anything else on gravel bikes?
No.
We have a question from Tiffany. And this might be a hard one to answer, but Tiffany's someone who rides a gravel bike, a road bike, a mountain bike. And her question is, what is the right type of recovery items I should have for each bike? Like, I go out, if I'm not going far, with a quick link CO2 plug kit and a multi-tool for my mountain bike, and I feel pretty okay. But should I bring a tube? Should I bring tire irons for my road bike? Like, what, basically, can you have a one-size-fit-all toolkit for every bike you ride?
Possibly.
Okay.
Certainly, if you're tubeless on all of your bikes, then you can. I mean, you want to make sure that your multi-tool covers all your bikes in terms of the tools you need.
Put it in all the places
right?
And turn the...
Yep. Obviously, CO2 is universal. Plug kits are universal. Quick links. Now, quick links, you might want to have the quick links for all your different bikes because those are probably going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a quick link a quick link tends to be almost useless if you don't have a chain tool.
Oh.
So there's no point if your multi-tool doesn't have a chain tool. There's really not there's not really a point of carrying a quick link, and the reason is because if your chain breaks, it usually breaks in such a way that you need to you have to remove the offending link. Okay, it's not like your quick link breaks on your chain and you just replace in the quick link. That
right.
Quick link almost never breaks. It's some other link.
Okay.
So that's just a good one to think about.
So you need a tool that allows you to break the chain to take off that
when you
broken
say
piece.
breaking the chain, that means pushing a pin out.
Yes.
To take out the broken one, right? Be aware that if you're shortening a chain by a link, you may not be able to shift. Well, you may not be able to shift into your largest cog in the back.
Okay.
Okay. But I don't want to say you can't shift there. If you do shift there, you may rip your derailleur off your bike and do a lot of damage. So if you have the know-how, I would limit it out.
Yes.
You can certainly check it first, but anyway, that's
okay. No, that's an important thing to check for.
And then it really comes down to the spare tube. So whether you're carrying a spare tube or not, I typically do have one. Don't usually on mountain bike rides that are local in the trails where you're not all that far away from walking out. But the tube, because you're probably on multiple different tire widths, that's a hard one. You could, in theory, get a tube that will do everything. That especially if you're running larger road bike tires like 30 or 32s, so you could get a tube that's really sort of for that, like 40 millimeter ish range that you can stuff into your road tire, right? It'll be a little difficult, but that'll go in, but that will also expand up enough in a 2.4 mountain bike tire.
So you can get home.
With at least enough pressure to get home. It will be it's kind of like a balloon. The more it expands, the thinner it's going to get. So it's a little bit more fragile. So
we had a friend who said he brings a tube all the time, in part because he's a former EMT and he can use it as a sling too, like just as a part of his first aid kit.
The only other thing I would say for road tubeless is that your tubeless plug kit should have a knife. It is super helpful to be able to cut off the little extra bit of sticky bacon string sticking out of your road tire to get those as flush as you can with a little knife. And some tubeless plug kits actually include a little knife.
Because otherwise it could get
Because otherwise,
out.
especially on hot pavement, though that rolls around, it can rip itself out. Yep.
Fun. All right. Well, anyone who wants to ask a question, we have a new email address, podcast@stevethebikeguy.com, and you can send us a question there, or you can leave a comment using fan mail. And that actually reminds me, so since going video on Apple Podcasts, we have gotten a lot of new listeners / viewers. That also means we've gotten some more ratings. Some of them were not 5-star. Anyway, we're grateful for any rating, but if you do like the show and would like to help support it, because we now have this flood of new people, If you could give us a 5-star rating, that would be great. And if you gave us a 1-star, tell us why. You can say it's because we're annoying. That's okay. I have read my share of bad reviews in the world. All right. I think that's it for this show. We should wrap it up.
All right.
Cycling Together with Kristin and Steve is a production of Steve the Bike Guy, an independent bicycle shop in Eastern Massachusetts, and Sundin Marketing, a full-service marketing communications agency.
If you liked the show, please leave a review or share with a friend. And for show notes, links, or to leave a comment, question, or topic suggestion, visit cyclingtogether.bike.
You can follow the shop on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Steve the Bike Guy.
All right. We will see you next time. What will the topic be?
I have so many ideas. Bye.